Hello everyone, and welcome to this little video that I'm doing. A little discussion on what I think of tactical flashpoints and ultimately why I believe they're pretty bad for the game in the long term. I'm talking about. So see, we had 2.6, which introduced Kuat drive yards, which was the tactical flashpoint for those level 15 to 54. There is a 55 version, but it's a waste of time, to be honest with you, because it drops planetary comms, and who the hell wants planetary comms at level 55? So looking at the new update, 2.7, which is coming soon, we're getting 2 new flashpoints. Yay! But they're tactical flashpoints, and it's confirmed that we are not getting hard mode versions of these 2 new flashpoints. The attack on Korriban and attack on Titan. I think that's what they're called. But they're set on Korriban and Titan. And really, do we really need these flashpoints in the game? I'll tell you why I really do not like them. Is that they do not teach you anything about playing your class, for one thing. I mean, you see it every time you pop a Q, every time your Q pops for it. You never see a healer or tank. It's always 4 DPS, which kind of annoys me really, because what is the point then in rolling a tank or healer? Before when we had the normal kind of flashpoints, the non-tactical flashpoints, which ironically required tactics. You know, I don't know why they're called tactical flashpoints. I really don't. But when we had the normal mode flashpoints, you would wait forever in the queue as a DPS. Leveling a DPS was a bit annoying. I can see how it's convenient. Some people would argue for those pure DPS classes like the Marauder or the Sniper. I can see maybe it works for them, but you know, if you're leveling, for example, I'm leveling right now as Sith Sorcerer. I want to get a Sorcerer to 55. I have a Sage. I have an Assassin. I thought I'd try the Sorcerer. What I do is I level as Lightning Spec, generally, for leveling, for solo quests, for my class quests, for PvP. But when I want to do a flashpoint, because it's about a 45-minute to an hour wait as a DPS in the flashpoint queue, off peak times. At peak times it's about 25 minutes to 40 minutes, I would say, for a DPS. So what I do is I buy field respec and respec to healer. I know how to play a Sage healer, I've leveled a Sage healer, so I have no problem playing a Sage healer. But then that's why I do it, is because I get a much faster group finder queue. Off peak times we're talking about 5 to 10 minutes. At peak times, we are talking about instant, almost instant. As soon as you click the button, you're in a flashpoint. This was a great incentive. When I first started playing this game, it was about, April 2012 I first started playing. I rolled a Jedi Knight, I rolled a Sentinel, and I leveled on the Silas Shipyard server, and it was dead for most of the time. This was pre 1.3, pre-group finder. And pre-server merges, when we had hundreds of servers with no one on it. Seriously, you would go to the fleet and you would have one instance of the fleet with 14 people on it. That's how dead this server was. So when I got to 50, there was nothing to do. I'd never done the group content. I'd never done any group content. Level from 1 to 50. Had never done a flashpoint. Did a couple of heroic quests. So what I decided to do when I got the transfer, I transferred to the Red Eclipse server, which I was surprised when I logged in and I saw people on the fleet. I saw 150 people on the fleet. I thought, whoa, this is awesome. And then 1.3 came out around that time, which introduced Group Finder. Now, one of the things I found with Group Finder is I was only eligible to queue for hard mode flashpoints with my Sentinel, who was woefully undergeared, as you can imagine. The only gear I could get was the purple, I think it was purple 50 gear that you got for daily comms when you were farming Black Hole and Illum it was at the time. I think they were the only 2 daily areas. Oh, there was Belsavis as well. But I didn't realise that was there, so I was just farming Black Hole and Illum dailies and buying the mods, the 50 purple mods. So you can imagine how good I was. So I really wasn't wanting to jump into a hard mode Flashpoint. So I decided to re-roll, and I decided to try the Empire for a change. I decided to be a bounty hunter. So when I picked my class, I picked a mercenary because the mercenary could heal. And I decided I'm going to go and queue for the Flashpoints and experience them. I tried queuing for a few as a DPS and realized the group finder queue times are massively long, so I'm going to respec the healer, and that was back when they charged you for respecking. So I thought I'll respec healer, and I've been a healer mercenary ever since. You know, he is probably my best geared character. He's actually my main character, I would say. Although I still play my Sentinel occasionally, but I'm mostly a healer now. And I quite enjoyed it, but the thing is, with these tactical flashpoints, we now have no incentive to do that. We've no incentive to roll a healer because we can just queue. We can just queue for Kuat. I've done it before. I've done it on my Sorcerer when I can't be bothered respecking the healer. Just, screw it. Kuat drive yards. I've got my Flashpoint XP boosters maxed out, the legacy ones. I'm just going to queue for Kuat drive yards if I need to level up here. And I get that we needed convenience, but I think it was a bit of a cop-out, if you ask me. You know, sorry, excuse me there. So I thought it was a bit of a cop-out, really, from BioWare. Rather than, try and make tanks and healers that bit more fun to level, let's just remove them. Let's just 4 DPS, let's go for it. But the thing is, what happens when we get to endgame? And now all of a sudden you're finding, hey, Kuat drive yards is useless at endgame. Level 55, you don't need planetary comms. That's what drops. Planetary comms. You get the occasional level 52 green thing that drops. I've seen that drop while leveling. I don't know if that drops at 55, but they should at least replace the planetary comms with basic comms, I think, to bring it in line with the Zerka ones. There are 2 other flashpoints available. Tactical flashpoints. There's the 2 Zerka ones that were introduced in 2.3, but at least they have hard mode versions. You tend to just, if you're a DPS, you queue for the normal mode ones just to get your Zerka weekly done, to get your elite comms and your not your planetary comms, your basic commendations. So I don't really know what they're doing with Kuat. So we're gonna get to end game, and then all of a sudden we haven't done any normal mode flashpoints. So we don't know how to play our DPS class. We don't really have any healers, and we don't really have any tanks. And that will lead me to my next point. Really, is why would a geared tank or healer queue for a hard mode flashpoint now? Since 2.4, since they shifted the gear, there is no reason whatsoever to queue for a hard mode flashpoint, because you get 66 gear and 2 pieces of 69 drop. One drops if you kill the bonus boss, and one usually drops from the final boss, but this is random, and the odds of you getting a piece for your class kind of minimal, if you ask me. You think it's 1 in 4, right? But no, I've run flashpoints with 4 Jedi consulars and got trooper gear as the 269 pieces. Yeah, trooper gear, that's useful. Heavy armor with aim in it, that's what we want. Maybe for a companion, but we really need that gear, don't we? As a Jedi consular. But yeah, this is I think it's a big problem since 2.4 is you don't need to do hard mode flashpoints. You can just do dailies. You can get your basic commendations, you can get your 69 gear, you can get your 66 gear from the Oricon story quest. But even then, you don't really need to do that. You can just grind out dailies. You can grind out CZ198. Do the weekly. Get yourself some 69 gear. Pretty easy to get that. And people say, oh, but I need elite comms. But I did an experiment last week with my operative where I hit the weekly cap without doing 1 hard mode flashpoint. I just did the 4 operations in story mode. You can do it in 66 gear, the 4 operations. Well, maybe you want some 69 gear if you're doing Dread Fortress and Dread Palace, but they're not that difficult these days. So that leads to my other point about the fact that no one's really queuing for hard mode Flashpoints, because we all can get maxed elite comms just from doing operations. 16 man ops, we get plenty of ultimate comms. Hit the cap for ultimate comms as well, which was disappointing because I got to the second last boss in Scum and Villainy and hit the cap. So I even hit the cap before then. Hadn't even turned in the weekly for Scum and Villainy, so still got that to do on my operative. But the thing is, the main point I'm trying to make is DPS, the Kuat Drive Yards doesn't really teach you how to play your class. The amount of times I've done it with 4 DPS, and one of them will die because they never use their threat dump. They have aggro, they keep hitting, we have no healer. So what is the point in hitting? We're not fighting the final boss, which has a heal thing that you can click. We're fighting one of the champions, the elite defender droids they are. And, you know, it's like, why didn't you use your... They die, and they go, why did I die? It's like, well, you had aggro, why didn't you use your threat dump? You were the only one with aggro. It's usually a marauder that does this, I should say. Yeah, the marauders, the aggro monkeys of the party, which is good for me as a sorcerer. I mean, as a sorcerer, I don't care. Should I heal him? I think, but then it's not my responsibility to heal him. If he uses his threat dump, someone else gets threat, someone else starts to get hit, and at least he doesn't die, you know. So we're not teaching DPS how to play properly, because managing your aggro is a big part of DPS. If you don't manage your aggro, if I'm healing you and you don't manage your aggro, I'm going to let you die as a DPS. The amount of times I get it, I have a saying which it says, let the marauder die. That's my rule when it comes to healing. So if I'm healing a pug and, you know, DPS gets aggro, the DPS can dump threat, or they can deal with that aggro. They can at least stun the enemy or try and CC him or something like that. I don't know why, because people get aggro and then they blame the tank. No, you pulled aggro off the tank, but you do have a threat dump. Maybe the tank should be aware. Maybe the tank should taunt, some people will argue, but no. I say you have a tool at your disposal that can get that aggro away from you. You also have a stun as well. Some classes have a CC that you can use, so, you know, use that threat dump is what I will say for DPS. But that is why, I mean, I don't know, we should be doing more, I think, to teach classes how to play. I mean, if you look at World of Warcraft, for example, they have the Proving Grounds, which again gives you a series of challenges. They give you DPS challenges, healer challenges, and tanking challenges. The closest we have to this in SWTOR, I guess, is Dreadmaster Raptus. If you look at that fight, there's a little healing challenge, there's a tanking challenge. Well, it's not really a tanking challenge, you just stand there and get hit. And there's a DPS challenge. I would like to see something like this in SWTOR. Just to make more people roll tanks and healers, because that is one of the #1 complaints that you hear from people. Oh, this queue takes forever. Oh, I'm waiting 45 minutes, I'm waiting an hour in this group finder queue. The reason you're waiting that long is because tanks and healers, we just have no incentive now. There's no incentive whatsoever to roll a tank or healer. I mean, it used to be you wanted to do your flashpoints, you had to roll a tank or healer basically, unless you liked waiting a long time. I can't see the point of the pure DPS classes, because I have leveled, I think, 4 of them myself. I've got Sniper and a Gunslinger and a Marauder and a Sentinel, so I have leveled them. I do feel the pain, you know, I have been there, so I do understand that maybe they did need something, but I'm just concerned about the future, for future groups that we're going to find. I mean, what's next? Tactical operations? Are we going to see operations balanced around? You can already do Eternity Vault in hard mode without a tank. We did it. Did it in Guild as a all smuggler op. Went okay. You need healers though. You got plenty of healers as smugglers, but no tanks. So where do we go from here? We're getting the 2 new Flashpoints, which are not going to have HMs, which is really disappointing, because I would love to just jump in straight to hard mode and go for it. I don't really play on the public test server, if I'm honest. I like to play it when it goes live. I want to experience it for the first time live with a pug. Probably do a Let's Pug on Attack on Korriban and Attack on Titan. But until then, you know, I don't want to play it on the PTS, to be honest with you. Really don't. I don't like the PTS. Trying to copy your character is a pain, and then, you know, you got to download the game again, essentially, which I really don't have time to do. Unfortunately, I want to get my Sith Sorcerer to 55. That's my goal. Get another 55. Not going to be a healer, though. It's going to be a DPS. Just using healer just to get my flashpoints done. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this new tactical flashpoints. I think that overall they're going to hurt the game in the long term. They're just going to result in us having less tanks and healers at endgame, or having people getting to endgame and then suddenly deciding, oh crap, there's no real, it's hard to find a group as a DPS. I'm going to try tanking or healing, but I haven't leveled as a tank or healer, so I really don't know how to play it. And the only real way you can learn how to play as a tank or healer is to go in there and queue for a flashpoint. Queuing for the normal mode ones is a nice way to get you, it kind of gets you in there, gets you into your healing rotation, because you learn as you level. You get new things. I mean, if you just start a healer at level 55 with all the healing abilities in the tree, how do I build my character? You're going to go to some best build website, which is just going to tell you, you know, this is how you build it. So you're going to end up with a generic cookie cutter build, and you're not really going to know how to get the best out of that character and how to get the best out of that healer. Part of the fun is getting there, and getting there slowly is part of the fun. Getting new abilities and saying this ability works with that ability, you know, it's part of the process of learning your class. It's still there for DPS, but I guess DPS is probably the most convenient and quickest way to level, to be honest with you. I have leveled a pure healer class in the past. I leveled my mercenary as pure healer, and it was hell at times. You weren't dying a lot, but, you know, you would always take far too long to kill mobs. I think it didn't help that I used Mako as my main companions. 2 healers, that didn't help. Leveling, but yeah, I've tried leveling pure healer and I'll never go back to it. Just buy field respec, go DPS, go healer for the group ops. Try leveling if you want a challenge or in boredom, try leveling a scoundrel as pure healer. It's really awful, because you don't really have many attack abilities, or you don't have many. They're always on cooldown. All your back blast. Oh, you'll spend an age waiting for that to cool down. Your back blast, your blaster whip. You'll hate it. So give that a try. When I leveled my operative, I went, screw it. I'm going concealment, because at least I can stab things. At least I have more abilities. I can stab things and get a chance to proc the stab to get a second stab. So that's my view on tactical flashpoints. I have to say, do you agree with me? Are tactical flashpoints bad for the game? Are they bad in the long term? If you like tactical flashpoints, I want to hear. I mean, I guess I'll hear from a lot of marauders and snipers saying, we want our group content, damn it. And what's a threat dump? There you go. There's a little question for you. What is a threat dump? If you can tell me your threat dump is a marauder, I will respect you as a marauder. So thank you for joining me for this little quick episode. So I will see you soon, and goodbye.